Welcome to Yin Yoga Lifestyle. I am your host, Colette Darville. Cultivating our body's resilience and inner silence and its application to all aspects of your life. Let's become enlightened and enjoy the power of intuitiveness and creativity. You are listening to Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Colette Darville, and this is Yin Yoga Lifestyle. So now let us take a deep meditative breath. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. Dora Sherry is one of 7 authors who contributed to the newly released book, The Path of Awakening, A Healing Journey, and has also written her own solo book, Reflections of an Angel. Dora is a champion survivor in life's challenges. The multi-time cancer survivor has been shot, stabbed, and lived 2 years in a wheelchair after being thrown from a 3rd-floor balcony, not knowing if she would ever walk again. There have been many more experiences, like this in her life, but without a doubt, the 2 biggest challenges she had to survive were the death of her only child at the age of 18 years in 1990 and an opiate addiction that has held her a prisoner for 40 years. Dora got up and out of that wheelchair after 2 years and went to become a 3rd-degree black belt in Kempo Karate. Her champion attitude helped her concentrate on the now, and she was able to move forward. Dora is an amazing woman with a huge heart. She is reclaiming her wholeness after a series of life events that deprived her of happiness. Her story of profound losses of all kinds provides a great insight into the intense journey of an addict starting at the very young age. She's keeping her promise to God now and helping others realize that there is nothing that you cannot do if you just take one step. Welcome to Yin Yoga Lifestyle, Dora.
Hello, Colette. Thank you for allowing me this honor of speaking with you today.
Thank you for being here. We're very honored. I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to begin writing about all your experiences? Because most people would probably say, I'm just going to push that right to the very back. I don't want to see it, and let's be done with it. And I don't want to talk about it. So what inspired you to begin writing?
Colette, you could not have asked me that any better. 30 years, I denied my grief over my son passing away in 1990 when he was 18 years old. And my opiate addiction got really bad, of course, over the years. I thought I was handling everything like a champion. I'm going to be great. Yeah. I'm going to get through this perfectly. I will be the example of faith in God and love. My friend, who is a publisher, Gloria Coppola, said to me, your angel son appeared to me last night and told me you need to write a short story in this book about his death and what you went through. And I said, oh, no. I'm not going back to that day. Colette, I started writing that story at her insistence, and I couldn't believe the grief that came out of me. I cried for 2 days writing that story. She was right. I had been burying that grief for 30 years, not wanting to face it. And when I wrote that story, it just opened up a whole new world for me. It opened up my life again. It helped me stay off the opiates. I knew if I wrote that story, I had to own it, my addiction, and I had to stay true to being clean.
Yeah, and that's that is probably, was that one of the hardest things that you have ever done, is to write that book and to write it on, or write the chapter, put it on paper?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
To go back to that day of when I found I found the news my son had died, and go through the funeral. Yes, Colette, I barely got through it before. The first time, I thought I was going to be the first person in the world to ever have died of grief on their death certificate.
Yeah.
So it was the hardest thing I've ever done. In one way, in another way, it's probably one of the easiest things I've ever done because everything just poured out. It just poured out of me. And
Yeah.
each tear, each word healed me. It started healing me. And I realized my friend was right. I didn't even realize I was hiding all this grief and
Yeah.
stuffing it down with pain pills.
Yeah. And your solo book that is actually coming out, I believe June 22nd, Reflections, called, the title is Reflections of an Angel. Um, what significance does that title of the book have for you?
My son is my angel, Colette, my son who passed away. He's always here with me. He always shows up. His favorite number was 44. He always communicates with that number. And I'm sorry, I kind of lost where I was for a minute
That's
there.
okay. No
A
problem. No
chicken just
problem. The
ran by,
title,
Paulette. I'm
yeah.
on the farm. A chicken just ran by.
Chicken.
Okay, where were
Like,
we?
look at me. We were
Oh,
talking about the title of your book,
yeah, sorry
Reflections of an
about
Angel.
that.
I've never
So
had
when
any
I
guests say that before. Oh, a chicken
oh,
ran
that's
by.
well, you've never met anyone like me, Colette.
I guess
I
not. That's
promise.
awesome.
Oh, so yeah, my son is my angel, and the book cover shows an angel with a broken wing, which is me.
Yeah.
Everyone calls me an angel, and I am one. We're all angels. We're all God's children, His creations, and it's about how my opiate addiction shattered my life. How my guardian angel, my son, has always watched over me, and saved my life many times, by the way. And it's my reflections of my life, of my drug addiction and my grief. And I always said I was going to write the greatest love story. And I did it. I wrote a love story about my angel, my
Oh,
son. So
yeah.
it is Reflections of an Angel.
And now I wanted to ask you about sort of the strength of a person. Now, physical and mental pain, it can either break a person or it can make you stronger than you ever thought possible. What was the turning point for your recovery from so much? Was there an aha moment? Was there this switch that went off or
I
turned
stopped my
on?
opiate. Yeah, I
Turned on.
actually stopped taking the opiate pills 6 months ago on my son's birthday
Yes.
without even realizing my last pill I took was on his birthday. And what triggered it, what really did it, Colette, was I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was either high on pills and laying on the couch watching TV all day, or I was sick and in detox and sleeping for days. My friends were all worried about me. Everything in my life was just falling apart. I couldn't function. And one day I laid my pills on the bed to count them out like an addict does, and someone came to the door. So I just took the sheet, threw it over the pills, forgot all about them. A couple hours later,
Yeah.
decided, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm going to wash my sheets. I threw my pills in the washer.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I accidentally threw my pills in the washing
Wow.
machine. And well, when I covered them up with the top sheet, I forgot about them because I was high, and I decided to change those sheets and just whipped them right off the bed, rolled them up, and tossed them in the washer.
Wow.
So in my panic, when I realized what I did, I ran to the washing machine, and there were a few precious little pills there, and I gathered them all up, and I thought, oh, I bet some fell out in the bedroom too. So I rushed to the bedroom. There was some, and when I saw myself sitting on the floor with a flashlight trying to find just one more precious little drug that I needed so badly,
Yeah.
I knew, you know what? It's time. It's
Yeah.
time. It's time
Yeah.
to do my mission for God. I've always wanted to write a book and tell about God's love for us and my love for Him. So everything went out in the wash cycle.
My goodness. My goodness. What a way to get rid of them.
Yeah, well, my son did it. I know he did, Colette. I
Yeah.
was talking to him. I had overdosed the night before,
Yeah.
and I was praying that I wouldn't die. And I was
Oh,
talking to my son, and I said, I wish you could just reach down and take these pills from me, baby.
Yeah.
And
Oh, well, he
the
did.
next day, he sure did.
Yeah, really, they were gone.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you write that you spent 2 years in a wheelchair. How did you recover?
Determination,
Mm.
absolute determination. I was scheduled for amputation of my hip and
Oh
leg.
my goodness.
And yes, and an angel doctor came in that the hospital wasn't even familiar with, and transferred me to his hospital, saved my leg cosmetically, but wasn't sure I would ever be able to use it to take us even one step. And I was in an abusive marriage. In fact, I had gone over a third floor balcony, excuse me,
Wow.
during a fight. Yeah, during a violent fight with my husband. And I had to stay with that man because I had a child and no way to work and couldn't get out of a wheelchair. So each day I was just determined, I'm getting out of this chair. I'm getting out of this chair. And that was it. I just every day tried
Wow.
to put my toes on the floor.
That was
And
that
one
was
day it
sh
worked.
sheer determination.
Prayer and determination, absolute determination. We can do anything and everything we want to, Colette, if we just put our mind to it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said for that. My mind was to it. I was not going to stay in that wheelchair. I was not going to let my life change like that.
When you, throughout your life, did you fade in and out of finding your spiritual self, or was there a point where you began to really open up to your spiritual self? Was it something that you didn't want to do, or was it something that, well, your son, as the angel, kept, prodding you, obviously, but was there a time when you actually just said, okay, I'm opening up to my spiritual self?
Um, Spiritually, as far as believing in God, I have always. My father was a Baptist minister, and I've always had visions of things that were going to happen. And I knew there was a power, I knew it
Yeah.
was there. So I've always had that strong belief in God. Opening up spiritually, as far as I think about spirituality, loving myself and knowing myself and being in touch with all the nature and God and everything and closer to Him, that came when my same friend Gloria, the publisher, asked me, "When's the last time you listened to your angels?" And I said, "Well, I talk to them all the time." She said, "No, when's the last time you listened to them and asked them what you can do for them?" And I thought, wow, that would be never. I'm so busy thanking them. I,
Yeah.
I didn't stop to ask, what can I do for you? And that opened me up spiritually tremendously. I mean, I can't even get a word to describe how that opened me up. When I started listening to God and to the angels, then I started really becoming spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very interesting, for a lot of people out there who are listening, and who might be uncomfortable with the word God. You can replace God with source or infinite love or, your higher self. But the idea of your spiritual self doesn't have to be religious, right?
Right. And people get that confused. Oh, you're spiritual. You're one of those spiritual people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yes, I am. I'm also religious too. I also believe
Yeah.
in God.
Right. Right. But you can be spiritual no matter what, right?
You can be appreciative. You can live in gratitude every
Yeah.
day. That's what I do. I wake up saying thank you. I call him
Yeah.
God, him, her, whatever you want to say, because that's what my daddy told me.
Yes.
But I wake up every morning grateful that I woke up. First of
Yeah.
all, and now I'm grateful that I have my life back again. I wake up feeling wonderful and energetic and full of hope and just passion again.
Yeah. What is your life like today? You do a lot of interesting things, don't you? Because
Oh,
I'm going to let you tell it and then I'm going to might jump in there. But what's your life like today?
oh my gosh, my life is so much fun, Colette. Even at the worst, I've always said if I weren't me, I would wish I was.
I love that.
Yeah, if God said you could be anybody in the world you want to be, I wouldn't even hesitate. Oh, I so want to be me.